Hello, this is Rebekah Freedom, and this is episode 84 of Heard Not Seen, produced by John Beethan. Today we're going to be diving deep into the 3 keys to be happy. Happiness.
I love that.
Yeah. See, I thought happiness was something that life coaches were just packaging and selling me, like repurposing it. Mm-hmm. And I was just all like, you sons of bitches. Until I literally, a month ago, I had the visceral experiential feeling of being happy. And it made me be like, I haven't been happy for a really long time in my life.
Is there any particular reason for that?
Yeah, of course there is. There's a big backstory. I mean, first of all, I was an only child for 5 years, and then my sister was born. Just came in and took all my attention away. And that's just saying the mindset of siblings is, I had mom and dad's affection, attention, and everything was on me, and now I have to share. This is bullshit. But honestly, I want to go into the keys of happiness, and then I'm going to speak to why I wasn't, because it makes sense in that way. So if you're listening, I encourage you to get out some pen and paper, and we're going to do something a little different here. I'm going to go into these keys to happiness, and at the end of the podcast, I'm going to make you, listener, an offer. I'm going to make you an offer that can really ultimately open the door with these keys to your own happiness.
Nice.
Yeah. I feel like, why just tell you about it? Why give you information when I can actually offer you transformation? So we'll be talking about that towards the end of the podcast. So the first key to happiness that I discovered was safety. The very first thing is to be able to feel safe. And when I say the word, I'm curious, since we're both in the studio here, because safety can be interpreted many different ways. So when it comes to you, what do you feel like safety is? We're adjusting the mic. We got a mic adjust.
Just a minute. We're back.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's good. So safety, John, give us a rundown.
Well, safety is when you have the front of the microphone positioned correctly in front of your mouth.
The correct position.
All right. So, safety.
What is safety?
Well, safety is taking care of those things like at one level, it's the roof over your head. It's the food in your stomach. It's generally anything that makes you feel safe and secure in yourself. And I think those are those things outside yourself, like I said, the rent and all the rest of it. And I will comment and say, I know there's a lot of people that try to live strictly in heart consciousness. Mm-hmm. But the big problem is they actually don't know how they're going to pay their rent. Mm-hmm. So that there's a fear thing that happens there. And then in the heart, you can trust that it's all going to be fine. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it's pretty important to, have some things nailed down so you feel safe.
So it's safe to say that, a component of safety is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you have food, shelter, water, that your body is taken care of. But there's also psychological safety. And when it comes, happiness is not actually a human right. We don't have any, No, it's a construct.
I wonder where it came from, actually.
I'm inventing it right now. People have not understood happiness until the profound magic that is my voice.
Okay, fine. We can do that.
Yeah. Also, so safety is boundaries, actually. Psychological, the happiness is something that you don't necessarily feel when you have like food or water, those things. You might feel security, which can be likened to happiness. But this free-flowing energy of warmth, of satiation, of all of those things really comes through safety and being able to articulate your yeses and your nos. And this is a carryover from our last podcast on consent, helps you to establish a container that allows for you to be happy.
Right.
If you feel like you're going to be in threat response constantly, not knowing where the money's coming from or how you're going to be treated or whatever, you're not going to be able to experience this relaxed state of happiness. So one of the first keys to happiness is to have a safe environment, in a safe ecosystem, a mental, physical, spiritual, safe ecosystem. Now, to the rebels and the misfits, to everybody who's like, fuck that, like I'm going to push the edges. You really can't do that. It's called a dependency paradox. The safer you feel, the more independent and expressive you'll be. If you feel destabilized, a lot of people will turn to drugs or substance abuse to try to restabilize themselves and ultimately find themselves in a pit in just this like hamster wheel. That is not happiness. So if you really reflect, and especially through the container of romantic relationship, to feel happy, sustained happiness with a person, not just the freaking dopamine rush you get when you first meet somebody, you got to feel safe with that person. You have to be able to trust them. To which I will quote the Velveteen Rabbit. The Velveteen Rabbit, there's this excerpt in it that says, "What's it like being real?" And the rabbit is talking to the skin horse, and the skin horse says, he's like, "Does it hurt to be real?" He was like, "Yes, sometimes it does hurt to be real, but once you're real, you don't mind being hurt." And the rabbit says, "Well, does it happen all at once or over time?" He's like, "Becoming real happens bit by bit." He's like, "By the time you're real, your fur has been loved off, your eyes are popped out of their socket, and your joints are rickety and loose. But you are, once you're real, you are only ugly to those who don't understand." So that's a little brief quote. So the reason I share that piece of the Velveteen Rabbit is that safety is something that is adjacent to becoming real. It's a becoming. It's a trust is a vulnerability, and it's a learning who I open to and who I keep out of my life, to live in that discerning space.
Well, it's also what you bring into your life that you make your business that is actually none of your business at all. And that's true with people. I mean, people gossip, right? And most of the time, it's none of your business.
Those are immature coping strategies like reaction formation and projection and all of that. And so the ultimate headline to be safe is to be self-reflective, to be able to look at oneself, to say, I've had these experiences. I'm not wrong for having these experiences. I'm going to alchemize this pain, and I'm going to choose new boundaries based on what I have gone through, especially the early years of our life where we are in a non-consensual relationship. We're at the mercy of our caregivers. So when you come up through your adolescence and you start to onboard self-reflection as a tool, it makes you a safe human being. People who are not self-reflective are often reactive instead, and they're not safe people to be around. They have immature or even psychotic coping mechanisms. Yeah, so safety, like safety warning, like really, you could safety rate yourself. How safe am I? Like, how volatile am I? Like, what am I like in relationships? How do I love? Like, all of these aspects are such fundamental components that allow for happiness to be in your life.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's about having an inquisitive life, like just really challenging. So my question to you is, how does one actually become more safe?
Meditation. I mean, again, I thought meditation was something that my school was just forcing me to do as part of my master's program, you know? And on a neuroscientific level, the stillness doesn't mean that your body's synapses, that your neuropsychology isn't firing, that there isn't, a cascade of hormones going on in your body. But when you are still, when you are out of threat response, when you're not activated, I need to do, when you're out of the doing mind and you come into the being mind, you connect, you open up to source, you open up to an ability to release and expand. And to release and expand at the same time is likened to orgasm. To be in that creative and chaotic and beautiful unfolding state. So every teacher that I have come across comes back to meditation as one of the strongest, if not the strongest tools to be able to create a new personality and a new person.
You know, I have a few friends that are professional coaches that work at a really high level. And one of the requirements for all of their people is that they meditate.
Yes.
That's just, you know, it's just a requirement.
Absolutely. So now that you know the aspect of how you become safe, the tool of meditation, to sit and breathe, pay attention to your breath. And it's one of the hardest things to do. We'll okay, I'll just sit down and breathe. Your mind's like, oh my gosh, did I turn off the stove? I got to get groceries. Would I do laundry? I need to do laundry. I haven't been late in a really long time. This is bullshit. Maybe I'll just masturbate instead. Nah, I'm too tired to masturbate. I'm hungry. Maybe I'll masturbate. Like that's...
Well, that's not my experience, but... Okay.
Yeah, like and maybe not everybody's experience, but it can be like, oh, you know, I have this business thing to do. When's that going to come through? Do I have enough money in my bank account? Oh gosh, I remember that time that I went hiking. I miss hiking. Like the monkey mind will just go.
I know. As
soon as you sit and to keep coming back to your breath, to the inspiration, to be inspire and to expire, to like life and death in this exchange that as you're sitting in this place. It's powerful. It's a powerful tool to create a safe ecosystem. Key number 2 of really the alchemy of happiness, to really like evoke and provoke happiness, to create happiness in your life, is a sense of being held. A sense of like, there's 2 different mindsets. The universe is out to get me, or the universe has my back. Like, I am well loved. No one loves me. So just feel that, like, I am well loved. Actually, I'm not wrong for living. I've had to say this to several of my clients. They've been in sessions being like, oh my God, because I work specifically with people who are going through breakups, who are in relationship formation, and I'm in the whole witchy continuum of existence, basically. And so a lot of people we feel wrong for the experiences we've had. We feel, judgment, basically. Judgment disintegrates our ability to be happy. Judgment de-evolves into comparison. Oh, well, what about that guy? Or what about that guy? I don't have what they have, or I could never do that, or breathe, come back to the place where you're like, I'm well loved. I'm well loved. And here is the amazing thing about the brain. It does not distinguish between imagination and lived reality. There's something called mirror neurons in the front of our brain, in our neocortex, that when we witness someone grab a pencil, our brain will light up in the same way as if we grabbed that pencil. And so what that means is, in an abusive situation or in a high-stress situation, your imagination can save your life. You can you see this, like someone recently told me that Christopher Columbus was born so poor, but he pretended he was royalty, and now he's in the history books. And there is something to be said to say, like, I am well loved. You can resist it, not really believe it, but then you create a compelling vision of well loved, like an image of like, you know, I'm affectionate with people. It's easy for me to get jobs done. When I want help, I get help. I can ask for things easily. I'm not embarrassed to be myself. I'm willing to be inconvenienced. I can go beyond my current limits because I'm willing to learn. This is huge. You can either know or you can learn. And knowing is the end of awareness. That's your stop point. That's where judgments, little micro judgments can come in. So the second key to the alchemy, to the ability to have happiness, to experience happiness in your life, is a sense of being held. I'm a child of God if you're Christian, or if you're a witch, the elements are in my favor. If you're a Buddhist, nothingness. No thing, no personality. The other religions, you can write in. Write it in. The third key to really just full body, every cell lit up, a communion, a congregation of like a mind, heart, body, soul harmonic, this just complete ability to be freely expressed and alive in your life. The third key to happiness is I don't owe you anything.
Don't know who.
To whomever you're relating in relationship, there is nothing owed. There is nothing owed here. You do not owe me your body. You do not owe me your mind. You do not owe. You are not a commodity of which you will pay me with your being. Another way to say this is love is freedom, because love is a gift freely given. You give to give. You give to give. The openness of the channel of which spirit can pour into you then overflows into others, and they don't owe you anything. The delight is witnessing them blossom open. The meme I was recently given by my friend James was that when two givers come together in connection, it's one of the most beautiful alchemies, because each person says, I will water you, and I will water you, and we will not drain each other. We will just grow. We will just grow. I am going to water you. I'm going to make sure that you're nurtured, and that you have, that you are safe, and that you do feel held, and that when there's a miscommunication, I'm not going to punish you or make you wrong for it. I'm not going to say you owe me and wag my finger in your face. I'm going to offer a loving presence for you to be able to find your way back to yourself. That's church. It's just, and so again, to recap, the three keys to be able to really feel happiness are safety, a sense, a belief, even an imagination of being held. And that's the essence of knowing in your bones, of understanding you do not owe anything. You are not in debt to life. You are not indebted to life. You are a gift. You are a walking, living, breathing, on purpose gift to life. So, to the point of not being happy. For a long time, I have felt unsafe. I've believed that I was alone and accosted by life. And I felt that I owed sex to anybody who looked my way. I was my self-expression of the aesthetic that I've been given in this lifetime. Listen, there's all sorts of bodies that are beautiful. There's round, and if you love your aesthetic, that is a beautiful thing. But for me, my aesthetic was something that I could pay to men, that I could be an object and say, oh, look at me, let me hook you with how I look, or let me hook you with my cleverness or my humor or whatever. There was an exchange there. It was transactional. And so have your parents die. It's going to make you feel unsafe. And that's part of my story. Have people that you love tell you that you're a piece of shit and reject you for your trying to love them. That's going to make you feel not held. I should make this personal. It's made me feel unheld. And then the whole sort of system, patriarchal system that we are in is a transactional system, a take. Let me take, instead of let me gift you with what I have. You know, whether it's food from my garden or an ear or a hug or a smile or a song, let me gift you. That has just not been my experience of the patriarchy, of which both men and women suffer from.
They sure do.
So to the point of ability to feel happy, to have this, I've had the experience of somebody coming into my life who stood and took a stand to be a gift and not to be a taker. And in those moments when we were in conversation with each other, I felt happy. I felt truly uplifted. And the container of our relationship is to be in service to one another, to be in service of one another, to be in the upliftment of one another. Not like, I'm going to lock this down. You know, I need your vow. I'm going to need you to sign this piece of paper and tell me that we're going to have certainty for the rest of our life. Oscar Wilde said, romance, if nothing else, is uncertainty. If nothing else, it is this vast place of discovery, of where your senses are delighted and you're on the edge of something that could be terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, at the same moment. And you're able to trust fall into yourself. You're able to say, I am safe, I am held, and I don't owe anything, but I have the capacity to give my gift, This lights me up. And I know how much hurting is in the world right now. How many people are walking around feeling wrong, like they're not a contribution. They're suffering. Of Course in Miracles said suffering does not exist. It's a non-existent thing. We're such powerful creators. We can create our own misery and get locked into that loop. And then neuroscience, according, I'm reading Joe Dispenza's book.
Which one is that?
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, I believe.
Nice.
And he was a chiropractor and he studies neuroscience in the quantum field and things like that. And he's like, we literally, a thought repeated, rehearsed, creates a cascade of chemicals in the body that you can see in somebody's body. You can see stress if they're carrying around a heavy belly and a frown on their face and all of these things that cue you in. That person is not happy. They don't feel safe. They don't feel held, and they feel like they owe something, and sometimes a chip on their shoulder, or they feel like they're owed something. There's an entitlement piece there. Like, I'm not fucking rah. So I promised I would make an offer.
Please do.
And this is not so. Before I go into this really unique offer, because it's something that for anybody who's listening to this podcast, it is not an accident that you heard this. People who find me, my marketing is minimal, and a lot of people could ask, well, who is she? Like, who is she really? And the reason that is a lot of, as a solo entrepreneur, you divide your time, and a lot of my time is spent in books. I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reading about neuroscience, about witchcraft, about Buddhism, about like existence as a whole, because I want to know how to set people free. And I do. And I do. I have now done this enough times where when people spend time with me, it's not I asked somebody, I said, what do you love about witches? And he's like, well, they're not a thing. They're an experience. I'm an experience. And I can say that fully because I spend my time invested in experiences. And John, you can attest to this. I've been back and forth through California. I've been traveling like a gypsy all year. I've been collecting stories and experiences. True. I've been affirmed. So as a gypsy. So to the point
you have a witness, yes.
You got a witness. Thank you for that word. Because having someone witness you, having that clear, safe witness, say anything and you're safe here. Express yourself. You're held here. I'm not going to run away.
Well, it's the best when you don't have to say anything. You just hold the space.
Space. Yeah, you are in the experience of your becoming real, of your unfolding. I know people are hurting because their mindset is skewed because they bought into something that helped them survive at some point that no longer is helping them survive, but the stress response is so familiar, they're addicted to their own pain. There's an addiction to their own pain. I have worked in the field of addiction for a long time, so I would say I'm an addiction specialist. I've worked in the field of relationships and relating for a long time. Theoretical, but also I've put myself in the lab, otherwise known as my dating life. You can listen to any of the episodes and attest to that.
True, huh?
And the third thing is, for the last year, I have been steeped in just the identity and the awareness and the being of being a witch. And witch literally means wise woman. It means somebody who's gone through all of her cycles. This is when the term came out, all of her menstrual cycles, and has collected all the years of bleeding and going through her moon cycles and all of the pleasure and wisdom that comes through that. It's a term that some people don't understand, but feminine power, the goddess, that mama, that caregiver power, that nurturer, the creatrix, those are all tied up in being a witch. And so this is the offer I have for people.
We are all anxiously awaiting.
What's money? Money is units of time.
Energy.
But truly, we put a number, a symbol on money and say and what is it? For some people, $15 is an hour. That's a unit of time of their life, right? That they spent doing some perfunctory sort of task. For other people, an hour unit of time can be $100,000 if you're in the billionaire class, right? Mm-hmm. There's like 2,200 something billionaires in the world right now. So, but those are units of time. And often people inherit time from their lineage. For people that are richer, that's because someone at some point put in time. They put in time to learn what needed to happen so they could take action and create. Our issues in life are never about money. They're about lack of creativity, lack of focus, or lack of structure, or just sheer laziness, just an inability to be lit from the inside out. So what I'm offering is in 2019, coming up just around the corner, I'm offering for whomever is listening to this, I have a program and I'll work with you one-on-one for $20,000 for 6 months. 6 months. The structure of that is something we will work on together. If you want the keys to the kingdom beyond just happiness, to your own ability to live free, to embrace, embody, and evoke freedom in yourself and others. If you want to see a wave of happiness rush through you and through others who know you, that is the invitation. Of course, that is just the base level of what I'm offering. I've come to understand that when I sell what I do for $100, I'm selling my client short and I'm selling me short. There's certainly books and avenues, and I would say do that. But if you want to expedite the process, you don't just seek freedom, you hire her.
Okay.
Yeah. So I appreciate everybody listening. Please share this podcast, tweet it out, Facebook, social media. You can follow me on Instagram at RebekahFreedom.com, REBEKAH freedom.com. My website is the same, REBEKAH freedom.com. Thank you for listening, and be set free.